Hi guys. It's already 3:45, so I think we should just get started. So welcome to today's lab office hour. So for this week and next week's lab, we're going to work on lab 1 of Intro.js. So let me just share my screen. Okay. So if you can go to ELC and go to Lab 1, open the Lab 1 assignment link for the Google Drive. So basically for today's, for this lab, I will just follow the Lab 1 tutorial and demonstrate on some important things. So let's just get started. So Lab 1, a bit of the introduction. So in this lab, we were doing analysis of climate data from NASA's DAMA dataset. So this is the same data we use in Lab 0, the DAMA 2015 data. So this DAMA dataset provides daily data on temperature, humidity, and precipitation for every point within the United States, going back several decades. And for this lab, for this specific data, we're looking for data for January 2015 and for all counties in the US. And specific for Lab 1, we're only working with the precipitation variable. So we will analyze regional trends. We will analyze the trends of precipitation. Oh, and also average maximum temperature using that data set. And for Lab 1, we have two parts. So the first part is mainly working with Excel. We are going to use Excel, do some summary analysis that we did in Lab 0. And also we will using Excel to do pivot table. And for the second part of this lab, we are going to using ArcGIS Online to actually map the data. But that's our plan for next week. So for this week or for today's lab, we will just focus on the Excel part of this lab. So next part is setting up a free ArcGIS account. So as I said, the second part of Lab 1 would be using ArcGIS Online to do web mapping. So enable to do the web mapping, we need to have an account first. So here, here you can see there is a link for the ArcGIS Online website. You can just go to the link. Once you go to the link, you should see this ArcGIS Online web page. And on the upper right part, here's a sign in option, sign in button. If you click the sign in, and I already have an account, so I have those autofill things. But if you're new to ArcGIS Online, you need to go to here. So no account, create an account. So if you click the create an account, here is create a trial account. Let me see why it's not. Let me see why it's just for 25 days. I think they've changed something. Never mind, just create the trial account is fine. So just click create a trial account. And then just fill in the information and you should be able to use the ArcGIS Online. And once you finish the registration process, you can sign into ArcGIS Online. And once you sign in, you should see similar things as what I have. So I have my account name on the upper right. And if you click the, on the upper ribbon, if you click the map, you can see this online map interface. Any questions for that part, for setting up a free ArcGIS account? Are we all good here?
I do have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to start or create the ArcGIS account, and it needs something for company. Should I just put like University of Georgia?
Yeah, I think, let me see. So yeah, for industry, there should be a student option. No. Yeah, you can just put, if it's required, you can just put University of Georgia. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it was supposed to be free, the ArcGIS Online, so there's supposed to be a free public account, but now I think they're changing something and they're only offering free 21-day trial. So I will figure out that this week, but for now, just sign up the free trial account for ArcGIS Online, and you can also do that later. Now I'll go into the next part. So lab data. So as I just said in the introduction, the lab data is the same as what we did in Lab 0. So just continue to use whatever you work with for Lab 0. Okay. And next part is summarizing the data and identifying the outliers. So basically for this part, we are going to using the Excel spreadsheet data, and we're going to calculate some summary statistics, mean, median, first quartile, third quartile, IQR, which stands for interquartile range, lower outlier and upper outlier. We're going to calculate these descriptive statistics, and then we're going to calculate the lower outlier and upper outlier threshold, and we will create a dummy variable and then do some filter, and then finally do a pivot table. So that's what we're going to do for this part. And in the pivot table, we're going to sum up those dummy variables by region. So I will just demonstrate it right now. So if we go to our lab data and just open that Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so this is the data we have. And I want to mention that for this lab, you are going to analyze on the PRCP variable, which is the precipitation variable. But here for demonstration issue, I'm not gonna demonstrate on the same variables. I'm gonna demonstrate on another variable, T-mean. So when you do your own analysis on your own lab assignment, just remember to use the PRCP variable. Okay, so first we're going to calculate some basic descriptive statistics. So just find any empty space here. We're going to calculate mean, median, first quartile, third quartile, IQR, the lower outlier, and the upper outlier. So for mean and median, we've already did that in lab 0. So to calculate mean and median, we just input the formula. So just input equals to and average. Here you just input your variable range. I'm demonstrating using t-mean variable, so it's from G to G. If you're using PRCP variable, it should be I to I. So that's the mean for the t-mean variable, and also the median. Similar here. So that's something we should be familiar with. And then we're going to calculate the first quartile. In the tutorial, we already listed the formula for calculate quartile. So for quartile, you just input the formula is quartile, and it has two parameters. The first parameter is variable range. So for the first parameters, you just input the range of your data. And for the second parameter, you just specify which quartile are you going to calculate. If you're going to calculate the first quartile, it's 1. If it's second quartile, it's 2. And if it's third quartile, it would be 3. So let's just calculate the first quartile together. So you just input equals to quartile. And remember, the first parameter is our variable range. So I just click column G and then comma, and we are going to input our second parameter. We are calculating first quartile, so I'll just input 1 here and close the parentheses. Here, I have my first quartile calculated, and then just similar, we're going to calculate the third quartile. So you just input equals to quartile, the variable range, and 3. Okay, now we have our first quartile and third quartile calculated. Next, we're going to calculate IQR. So IQR is interquartile range. It's the value if you subtract the first quartile from the third quartile. So we just input equals to, and then you click the cell you have your third quartile, and then minus the cell that you have your first quartile, and then just hit enter. Now we have our IQR calculated. Then we're going to calculate our lower threshold and upper threshold for outliers. Here in the tutorial, it lists the formulas for lower outlier and upper outlier threshold. So to calculate the lower outlier, we just use the first quartile minus 1.5 times IQR. And for the upper outlier threshold, it would be third quartile plus 1.5 times IQR. So let's go back to our Excel spreadsheet. So to calculate the lower threshold, you first input equals to, and then you click the cell with the cell of the first quartile minus 1.5 times, the times is the star sign, and then the IQR. So this is how we calculate the lower threshold. And then the upper threshold, similar here, equals to, but this time it's the third quartile plus 1.5 times our IQR. Okay, so our upper threshold for this average minimum temperature variable is 11.5524. So now we have our threshold calculated. Here for the following analysis, I want to identify those counties that their T-mean or their average minimum temperature is above the upper outlier threshold. So to identify those counties, what I will do now is create a dummy variable first. So dummy variable is a variable with only two values, 0 and 1. So here, I will just find any new column, type in your column or variable name. You can name it whatever you want. I will just call it outlier. So first, I will just fill this variable with 0. So to do that, you will click the first cell in that column. You input 0, and in that cell on the lower right corner, double click the lower right corner. It will automatically fill all the cells with 0. Or you can just click the lower right corner and just drag it down all the way to the end. So now I have, if I scroll down to the end of the data, all the records for that outlier variable is 0. And now we're going to identify those counties that their minimum temperature is above our upper threshold. So here we have our upper threshold calculated is 11.5524. And now we're going to using the filter tool to do that. So similar to what we learned in Lab 0, you first select all your data, go to Data tab, click Filter, and just find the t-mean variable. Here we want to find the identify those counties that their t-mean variable is above our threshold. So to do that, you can do the sort from largest to smallest, or smallest to largest, or you can do the number filters. So if I click number filters, we will click number filters. We will do greater than. Click greater than. Here you just input your upper threshold. So it's 11.54 something. So I will just input that right now. So and then click OK. Once you click OK, you see the it filters the data for you. So now it only shows those counties that their t-mean variable is above our upper threshold, right? And now we go to our outlier variable. So those variable for those counties, we consider them as outlier, upper outlier. So we will give them value 1 for the outlier variable. So just input 1 and drag it down to the end. So now we've give those counties, for those county identified as outlier, we set their outlier variable value to 1. So once we're done, we can clear the filter so you can see the whole data set. So just click the clear button over here. Once you clear the filter, you should see the whole data set. But if you clear the drop down, if you click the drop down value of the outlier variable, you can see we have both 0 and 1. So 0 is the counties that are not considered as outlier, and 1 is those counties that are considered as outliers. And then so that's that part. Okay, then we're going to use pivot tables to sum up those dummy variables by region. So we already know which counties is outlier and which county is not, but we want to sum up that information by region. So we want to know how many outliers in each region. So to do that, we're going to use the pivot table tool in Excel. So go back to Excel. To do pivot table, you just click any empty space here. and then go to insert. Go to insert and then go to pivot table. Once you click the pivot table, you should see this create pivot table window. Here, the first one is asks you to select a table or range. Since we only want to know how many outlier in each region, so actually we only need the region and outlier column, but you can just select the last three, so it's easier. You just drag and select the column you need and just drag. So now we select column L, M, and N. And here, the second question, it asks you to choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. Before I click the insert the pivot table, I already click a empty cell. So the table will show on that empty cell. So we will just leave it as it is. It's existing worksheet. And then we click OK. OK. Once you click OK, we have the pivot table fields. We have these little window popped up. Here, the first in the first we need to choose the variables that we need for this pivot table. So because we want to know how many outliers in each region, so we need region variable and also outlier variable. Once I click that, it automatically put region in the rows and values in and outlier in values. Here, the outlier what it put is the sum of outliers. But if you click the drop down menu here, click value field settings. Here, actually, there's other options you can choose for that variable. So you can do sum, count, average, max, minimum, and something. But here, what sum is exactly what we want here. So now this pivot table is created here. If you can see, for each row, it shows the region, and for it calculates the sum of outlier for each region because we are using the dummy variable here for each counties is either 0 or 1. So the sum of outlier would be the sum of outlier variable would be the exact number of counties in that region that are identified as outlier. So here we can see for T mean variable, we have 15 counties are outliers in South region, and we have 4 counties that is outlier in West region. So that's a demonstration of the first part of our lab using the T mean variable. But remember, when you do your assignment, remember to use the PRCP variable, the precipitation variable, for your analysis. So basically, that's the part that's all we need to talk about for today's lab. And for next week's lab, we are going to map the data using ArcGIS Online. And if you go to the lab deliverables, we similar to lab 0, we have all these questions that you need to answer. And for the first question, copy and paste your pivot table from Excel or include it as a screenshot. Make sure it fits neatly on your page and includes all required information. So basically, once you finish the Excel pivot table part of your analysis, make sure you either copy your table or take a screenshot of the table and just save it to your own Word document, because you're gonna need that to answer the first question. And that's all for today. Any questions?
No.
Okay. If you don't have any questions, you can just leave the meeting room. I will post the recording for today's lab to ELC once it's processed. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.